Almost 7 o'clock. Let's get this work session in order. Let's call this board work session and executive session with the Silver Falls School District Board, please. Debbie, no attendance? Okay, very good. Okay, first up for our discussion items is our annual personnel report. Take it away. There.
I can have one, so you guys can think, I don't know how that works. Do I just turn this on? Yep.
Oh, that's going to be
So while we're
bright.
waiting for it to warm up, I'm going to put Jan Hoffman. You received a copy of my report. Do you have any questions? I was wondering how she got away with that. So you did receive a copy of my report. I believe that Debbie posted an updated version this morning because I'd left a slide out when I was trying to work on Friday. There are some items that are from the previous year as well. And so the first thing that I wanted to share would be the hiring process. I don't think Jonathan was on the board last year when I did this report, and then we'll have some new board members coming on in July. So
I was actually in the audience. But
okay, so it'll be, on board book and if people want to refer to it, and then your new assistant superintendent can answer any questions. But basically one of the one of the things that I took upon myself when I first got into the position is to really put together a solid hiring process from step one, what happens when I get a resignation as a building principal, all the way to how do I go about offering somebody a job and all of the steps in between. There had not been anything in writing, there had been no process in place, and so we've spent a lot of time vetting this process and getting feedback and making adjustments. I would hope, I know many of you have participated in major hiring events where we've used this process, and I hope that you found it helpful and beneficial in terms of the way it's getting people to ask questions about the things that we're looking for in people we're hiring, and making sure we're all looking at the same thing when we're asking questions. And so during our process, we include a variety of stakeholders depending on the position that we're hiring for. So it could be a wide panel of community members, classified, licensed, students, and we try to include as many of those stakeholders as possible. And I feel like we have a very good system with good rubrics, good banks of questions, and moving forward, I think Dan can take it to the next level. And he's at the HR conference this week, so I'm sure he's learning lots of great things.
I have a quick question.
Sure, yeah.
So
okay,
you said,
go back.
Oh, okay.
The left arrow.
Left arrow.
It's just a question.
okay.
You mentioned something.
Sorry.
You said that there was no process before. What time frame are you talking about? There was no process before,
So,
you guys took time to.
There's always been a
create.
process, let me clarify, right?
Oh,
But there's
okay.
not been a documented packet. What are all the steps?
Oh,
And
I
so
see.
when I
Okay.
took over in HR after my first year, and they said, okay, we really need to have a document, a
Right.
guiding document. And at the same time, I've helped create the care team packet, and we have the 504 packet now, so you have a tool where you can, if you don't know anything, you can start at page 1 and kind of get yourself through it and know what questions you can be asked.
Okay, so you started this process after your first year of, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and
that's,
figure out
I guess
those
that's what I
things.
was wondering.
Sure.
If you just recently had to, or if you
No,
went this
yeah.
way. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, so last year we talked about adding some classified information. The issue with our system is that we're not a full database where we can just plug in a queue and have it spit out data. We are still, in many respects, paper, pencil, tracking, and so it is daunting to try and track a lot of these tasks. But we used our online application system, and so for this school year, we had 90 jobs in the classified section posted. Right now, there are 5 that are not yet filled. We received a total of 731 applications, so we're averaging about 8.12 per posting, depending on what the position is. You'll have fewer or more than that average. And these are some of the examples of the types of classified positions we hired for this year. Dana continues her fiefdom with the SNA movement, and we have, we probably had, I would say that probably 500 of our applications were in the SNA category, because she has so many SNAs that we're using throughout the district, but we've got some really great people, and it's nice that we have usually a good selection to be able to.
That's a special needs assistant?
It is, right, special needs assistant working in a variety of our special ed programs. So the TEL survey, this slide is from last year. They do the TEL survey every other year. And when I was trying to get onto the website so I could just double check my numbers, the website is now down. The phone number is now a plumbing or electrical business.
Like a communication.
Yeah, so not working. And no one at ODE could tell us where is the data being stored. So apparently they are shifting away from the TEL survey and doing something else in relation to some of the accountability measures the federal government is requiring with regard to some of those measures. So there will be something else next spring. But this is what we have right now. I thought it was a great tool. I thought they did a really good job in crafting those questions. They were really thorough. And so I hope they come up with something that we can use for comparison as we're moving forward. So it's some of the highlights that we wanted to look at is in 2008. And these are district-wide results. These are not broken down by school. So the faculty and leadership have a shared vision. In 2018, 84% of the respondents said that we did. Teachers are held to high professional standards for delivering instruction, 93%, which is quite an increase from 2 years prior. Teacher performance being assessed objectively, there's an 82% rate there. We have consistent evaluation processes. 82% agree with that, and teachers in this school are evaluated by someone who's well prepared to use the district's evaluation tool, 84%. I'm sorry I can't give you information school by school. I'm hoping that some of the schools printed out their own information so they can use it to compare. And maybe we'll be able to get some more archive data once they figure out what they're doing.
So this was my question to you.
Yeah.
Okay, that we talked about before the meeting.
Sure.
So where, I tried to look the exact sentences that you used. Where are those in conjunction with, do we have the same printouts?
I don't know what you have.
I have the district summary.
I have the district summary.
Report, TEL, Oregon, 2018 and 16.
Yeah, I have, yes. And
Okay.
so,
I tried to look for those specifically and I couldn't find.
so if you go to Q7, do you have a Q7?
Okay.
So Q7 1.1A is the faculty and leadership have a shared vision.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of weird how they number the questions.
Okay,
It's
right.
odd.
So I'm sorry, I thought, okay.
That's okay.
So you used the, instead of the Q7 one, you went down?
Yeah,
Okay,
just selected
okay.
some of the ones that I
That's
thought
what, I
were-
wasn't looking there. So, okay, so that's where those probably are. Okay, all right, I'll take a look.
And I will leave this with Dan, and so if you have other questions, you'll
Yeah,
be able to.
sounds good. Okay, thank you. Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's all I needed. I couldn't find the.
So, employees overall, so we have right now 244 licensed employees. These don't include your administrators or directors or managers. And then you have 233 classified employees. This coming August, you'll recognize we have our years of service recognition that we do on the first day that everybody's back. I would encourage people to come to this event. It's really a lot of fun, where we recognize our employees with 10 years up to 40 years of experience. And so we have a variety of people we'll be recognizing. As of the 18th of June, we had posted 10 licensed positions and we had received 193 applications, which is 19.3 applications per position. That's up from 13 last year, and last year we had, I believe it was 23 licensed positions that we posted. I'd have to go back and look at last year's entire report for that, for sure. But still having a very healthy number of people applying for jobs in this district. Our average years of experience for teachers, remember Steve pointed out that the higher this rate is over the state average, we get more money for that. So there's reward for having teachers with more experience in the district, or in a district, that's for any school district. So the state average is at 12.09, we're at 12.18, so that produces more funding for us. When we did the 5-year comparison, so from 14-15 to 18-19, I just rolled off the 13-14 school year, but I still have that slide from last year if you want it. And so you'll see for the new data for 18-19, in terms of the hires that we had 21 new hires, 20 are still here, but it's kind of weird because we had someone who was a temporary, so wasn't really hired for that position, so that's why that number is weird. So, and then we had 3 people retire and 6 resigned. I broke it out by this year specifically of the 9 right now, where those positions are opening and the reasons for them leaving. You'll see that we had 2 return to the private sector. We had 1 move on to establish a college wrestling program. We had 1, 2, 3 who moved out of state, and we have 3 people who retired for this year.
Quick question, historically, at this point, do we pretty much, is that sort of what we expect will be, or do they trickle in through the summer?
They'll trickle in through the summer. There's usually 3 or 4 people that will resign, much to the dismay of principals who are trying to take a summer break.
I just,
So usually it starts bubbling around, by the 4th of July. It's pretty rare that we'll lose anybody in August, but Salem Kaiser hires pretty late, so sometimes that's where we're losing people.
okay, thank you.
Temporary hires, so these are people that are not guaranteed a job, but they're covering for us, and for people who are on leaves of absences or on maternity leaves, or we have last minute class size bump, and so we're adding a teacher that we hadn't expected to have before. And so for the 18-19 school year, we hired 9 temporary people, and 7 of them will be returning for next year. So that's always nice when our temporary people are able to stay.
Does this imply they're still temporary?
Say it again.
Does it imply they're still temporary?
No, they'll be reflected in next year's probationary hire.
Got it.
And so the last 5 years, 55% of our temporary hires return into either another temporary position or hired for new positions. So that's nice when we can retain those. Other areas that I like to share with the board, we have the Employee Assistance Program, and we did upgrade the benefit for the 18-19 school year. I reached out to the EAP to ask how many of our members access the program. They haven't returned my phone call, so I will ask Dan to follow up on that, so you have that information for August. In Article 20 of the collective bargaining agreement for licensed staff, we have that tuition and professional development pool. Last year, we'd set aside $18,000 for PD. That was new money. We'd not had that before. Remember, we established that because we were losing the collaboration grant, or the professional development grant, had that money in there, so we wanted to try and have at least a little something for our teachers. So in 2017-18, we only spent $4,700 of it. And so through a rigorous beating the bushes, hey, we have money, let's get this done, we were able to spend all $18,000 plus more in sending more than 80 teachers into other professional development opportunities. So, and in our bargaining proposal, we did propose upping that amount so that teachers can access more opportunities. Any questions about that? So that's the end of my slideshow. I did want to add something that's been coming up about transfers. It seems to be a question that people would like some answers to. And so with regard to transfers, I was able to track 4 years. Sorry. And there, in the collective bargaining agreement, there's 2 kinds of transfers. There's voluntary and involuntary transfers. So voluntary transfers, teachers, I think it's in March, they send out a form to me that says, hey, I'd be interested in going to whatever school they want to go to, and what's their first and second choice, and they keep it in a file. Then as positions open up, I'll call them and say, okay, do you really want that? Oh, sure, no, yes, whatever. So we keep that file. So in the last 5 school years, we've had 18 teachers transfer voluntarily, 2 transferred to the high school, 1 transferred from the high school, and in that 2 and 1, that was the same person. So they transferred to the high school for a couple of years, and they decided, no, I'm gonna try something else, so I transferred away from the high school. So that person has unique certification, is able to try multiple things, so good for them, have that experience. In terms of involuntary transfers, there have been 4 teachers in the last 5 years. All are at the K-8 levels, including in-town schools. There were 0 who were from the high school, except for the 2 employees that have been a recent discussion in our arbitration. And so I think it's important to look at the real data when we're making statements. And the purpose behind involuntary transfers in attempting to make better situations for employees and for schools. And those discussions occur with building principals. Both the principal who will be losing the teacher meets with the principal who will be receiving the teacher and talking about what that looks like. And so I felt that it was important to note that 0 teachers from the high school have been transferred. And the other thing that I think is important to note that I'm going to be transparent about is that none of the people that have resigned in the last 5 years resigned in lieu of accepting an involuntary transfer. So there was none of that happening. Any questions about transfers? So, this is my final board meeting, I didn't know if you knew that.
Yes.
And so I have a few prepared statements.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
yes, please.
When you were preparing your report, was there one thing that you said, oh, this is the thing we need to tackle next? This is the thing that is most, will give us the biggest bang for our buck for putting an investment in?
Well, for me, it's classified people right now. I think we're in a huge classified shortage. We're going to be in a workforce shortage in those jobs because traditionally they don't pay as high. Many of the people who are in our classified column are working for insurance, but I'm concerned about a compression issue with wages and also continuing to provide not only professional development opportunities for our classified people, but the college pathways, which we have a partnership with a couple of colleges. I think growing our own in terms of the teaching force is really an area that if I were to be here, that I would seek out, because I think that's really important. We have some fantastic classified people right now who would be fantastic teachers. But also giving anyone the opportunity to further their education so that they can do whatever they'd like to do. Yes.
I'm a big fan of the grow your own.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a good program. So now it's time to speak about the arbitration and settlement agreement. As you recall, we had 3 arbitrations. The association rescinded 1. That means the district's procedures and decisions stand as decided at the building level. That leaves the 2 remaining arbitrations. First, I'm going to recognize that the association claimed we violated Articles 3G, 8B, 10A, 10B, 11A1, 11A2, 11A3, 16A4, and all others that may apply. Board policies GBNA, GBNA-AR, GCAA, KL, KLAR, GA, IIBGA, JB, JFC, and GGM, and 5 TSB policies. It was determined that the district violated 1 out of the more than 23 cited. When I learned we lost on 3G reprisals, I was shocked and spent a lot of time talking with our attorney to understand this. I'm unable to address many of the issues cited in these documents because my knowledge comes through my participation in personnel meetings, which I'm still legally unable to discuss. I understand that people are demanding an apology and accountability. I have done much reflection on the whole issue because I want to apologize, but I know that I'm not going to give people the apology that they want. I don't believe sending a draft letter to an attorney for revision or typing an exclamation in an email are examples of anti-union activity. Nor do I believe advocating that the union represent a member when she is asking for help is an example of anti-union activity. I did not randomly and with no context cite the district policy on transfers to demonstrate anti-union activity. I never thought about any of those actions in relation to the entire body of the union. However, if the arbitrator says that's what it is, then that's the decision I must live with. So my apology would be to anyone who, after reading these decisions, doubts any intentions I have ever had for this district. It would not have been my intention for people to feel badly about themselves after our interactions or question whether or not I was a resource and advocate for any employee. So the next question becomes, how does the district move forward? I do not believe this is a district-wide problem. In speaking with building principals in K-8 and in town, their association leadership has come to them and said their buildings are fine. I'm going to trust that feedback until provided otherwise. However, the feedback from the high school is a different story, and their issues are far greater than anything your administration is going to solve. The high school has had 7 different administrators working with them in the last 4 years. During 2 major hiring events, more than 40 people at the high school selected their principals. As hard as this is for me to say, it's time the high school staff look at themselves. There are 2 groups, the non-vocal majority and the vocal minority, who are involved in an unhealthy subculture that breeds an us versus them mentality. During the last interview cycle, when staff were trying to determine whom to select from their candidates, I posed the question, what does this staff do to administration? A teacher responded, we eat them alive, which I was shocked at the response because there were community members in that room. And a second staff member said, we will protect him, and they were referring to Wade. By the time we ended the 2017-18 school year, Wade had supported the staff through multiple student deaths, staff member crises, in addition to just surviving his first year as a principal. I do not feel like staff protected him. This guy could not catch his breath, and for anyone who has been a first-year teacher, please take that experience and multiply it by 1,000. The very worst offense committed by high school staff was undermining his ability to provide closure to the year. Giving him the letter was a slap in the face and showed a complete lack of empathy to the man who gave all he had to give. At the first Citizens Banquet this February, Rob Wonker leaned over to me and asked, is that the same guy as last year? In reference to Wade, who was at the podium. When I said yes, he replied, wow, they Obama'd him. Last year, multiple classified staff came to high school administration about concerns for both themselves and their students in classes. Despite being asked repeatedly to please follow the process by contacting the teachers, they declined because they were afraid of retaliation. Staff members complained about actions in the staff room, where their coworkers were talking poorly about students, parents, other teachers, as well as administrators, to the point where they couldn't go in there for lunch. When admin attempted to address it, more issues were created. This year, department coordinators were asking administration, can't you just take that, make that a top-down decision? Because they feared the reaction from their coworkers. On June 12th of this year, I talked with Wade about how he was going to address the staff at the Friday end-of-year staff meeting. He was deeply impacted and agonizing over just what to say. On June 13th, Wade apologized to his staff, and Johnny sent an email. According to feedback I have received, unsolicited, the majority of the staff accepted the apology and are ready to move forward, except for a few. A teacher stopped by my office after that morning and told me building association leadership said, we want someone's job. This is getting dangerously close to an employment violation. I responded to SFEA's post this weekend regarding what they want in response to a question from a community member. I was especially irritated at the posting of half the story in relation to my comment about grading, which is a bargaining technique. After I posted my response, a parent teacher who I'm not friends on Facebook messaged me and said things like, thank you for standing up to the union on behalf of the students and parents who are being pushed aside. Teachers resorted to trying to intimidate us when we tried to address our concerns, and there were reprisals to our student. There are others who have reached out to administrators with similar comments. My recommendation would be to hire an independent third-party HR specialist to come in and work with staff to get to the bottom of this. Or pretty soon you're going to be administrators 8, 9, and 10. I have just a few final comments about this situation. A community member posed a question on Facebook in relation to the district's attorney making the statement that our actions were unintentional. I think he said something like, "Aren't their fingers attached to their brains?" In the examples I gave you earlier, none of these things were intentional. I never thought, oh, check that off my list as an anti-union activity, as I typed an exclamation mark in an email. But I can tell you what intentional looks like. It's a Silverton High School teacher writing a hit list with 3 administrators' names on a board and declaring these are the people they're going to get rid of. This statement was made to a coworker. When the coworker reported that to an administrator, the teacher said, "We don't trust you and we're cutting you out." It's a school board member stating multiple times she doesn't trust administration while at a board meeting, requiring employees of the district to endure public humiliation. It's a licensed association Uniserv rep, after 2 days in an arbitration with 5 more to go, contacting a retired teacher from Jervis in an attempt to get the Jervis school board members' phone numbers so he could warn them about what they were getting themselves into with me. This occurred right before I went into my final interviews with Jervis. When I confronted the rep about this, his first response was, "I didn't know you were such good friends with her." It's a community member whom I've had one conversation with in 15 years, tagged me in a Facebook post, so I know he's talking about me. It's then saying, "I pity Jervis for hiring her." It's the next comment of, "He will fit right in at Jervis." I am a woman. It's another community member who has testified multiple times about mental health issues and a mental health professional herself posting a bully diagram. It's a community member emailing the Jervis School Board without the guts to include me on the email stating, "I hope you're better able to manage Stevens." These are the people who are coming and making public comment at every meeting. These people do not represent the Silverton and Silver Falls School District I know. We do not put students down in the district next to us. We do not take the enthusiasm and excitement away from others to prove our point. I'm not going to let my last words about this district be negative ones. There's so many things about this district that I'm proud of in my role in that. Implementation of advisory groups, RIE. Sorry, they don't ever be able to say REI, right? Yeah. College visitations for all students. Introducing CTE into middle school. Challenging the math department and getting Tom Steers to say, "You're right, Danny, being good isn't good enough." Lucky Rogers tried something new in math at Penn State, and that was a disaster, but willing to try something else. Implementing Thrive for our teachers, getting additional PD money for teachers, an alternative compensation model, proposing ways to fund teachers to obtain additional education, working for our classified staff to gain opportunities to obtain degrees, offering PD for them, including them in beginning of the year activities, streamlining our onboarding process. The personal experiences such as Jody Drescher and I running crazy in our high heels when there was a fire in the wood shop, Ken Allison spilling the gravy in his truck so we didn't have any at our Thanksgiving lunch in the counseling office, and Stacy Barker yelling at me as she was in one stairwell at the high school and I'm at the other, "I'm so mad at you, Parsons, it's a good thing you're over there." And then there are too many students to name, but the ones that make me smile, laugh, and cry. This is a great district because of the administrators, not in spite of them. And I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be a part of the team.
Thank you, Danny. How many years were you here at the district?
15.
15. Tim, you said you had something you want to say.
Yeah, Dandy, sorry. Thank you so much for everything you've done for this district. You've always been a huge advocate for kids. You've always talked about what's best for kids, no matter what's going on. You always keep kids first and what's best for kids. And I've always been impressed by that and by the way you handle things. And I know you've got some flack for the way you handle things, but that's just because you're doing your job. And our loss is going to be Jervis's gain. So thank you for what you've done for this district. In all respects.
Thank you. I remember you gave a present 2, 3, 4 years ago. You said something about when you were in high school, about some exercise you did, about putting all the kids up on the wall. And you had all the staff members go through and put down the kids, put 5 stickers on the kids, you know, or something like that. And it was the kids that didn't have any stickers on. Those are the ones you focused on. So let's get these kids involved in activities, something.
There were 400 kids that nobody knew.
Yeah, and I just want to dovetail on that a little bit. I was at the Kevin, Oregon State Clays skeet shooting thing the other day, and just watch, observe. I'm kind of a quiet person, a bit of an introvert, and I'm just watching. And I'm looking at these kids, and I'm going like, these are those kids that wouldn't have any stickers. They're not at the athletic events. They're not, but they were there involved, having a good time. Like, there's another group of kids that this school district got involved. And it was, you really taught me like that, for sure. If anyone else has anything to share.
Just real quick, Andy, regardless if it's the public or the private sector, HR is not, it's a thankless job, regardless. And the fact that you do it with such patience and tenacity and love and keep coming back for more. You know, for the last how many years now, 15 years, I mean, we've been gifted to have you in our district, regardless what that small minority says. It's that online paddling that I call it, that really takes away from the beauty of what this district truly is, and you've been a big part of that too. So I want to thank you for everything you've done.
Hey, Tom, can I take?
Yeah, Bert, yeah, go ahead.
You know, I've been accused of not saying a whole lot at work, but I'm going to say something tonight. Andy, behind every good business is a good woman. And that's what I think of when I think of you. You have been an awesome asset to our community and to our school district. So thank you for everything you've done, and best wishes in service.
Thank you. Thank you.
She says thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just a thank you.
All right. Let's move on. Next topic. Draft resolution in support of the facility improvements at Bethany Charter School. We got the resolution here, and they presented to us Scott's Mills work session. It looks fine to me. I don't know, does anybody have any comments or thoughts on it? I mean, we wouldn't want to have an improvement to the building, especially if they can fundraise somewhere.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I think I said the same thing then, and I'll say it again, I don't see a downside. I see only upside. They seem to do a great job with the facility. If they're for it, I'm for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the board for coming out to Scotts Mills, to our board meeting out there, the Bethany board. And I wanted to thank them again for their thorough explanation of what they wanted to do with the building. And it looks like a great project, long-term project, but I'm excited for them. And I'm happy to, I was happy to read this resolution that we got for tonight. So good luck to them.
It might be just a good time to clarify the role of the school district with the charter school, because it's always a confusing thing, and it's my understanding that this board authorizes a charter document with an independent board of directors, and that's the relationship that we have. And in this case, we also own the facilities, but are leasing them, and so they're going to be improving the facilities.
Right.
Was there anything that you wanted to add to this discussion about this?
No, I shared with you at the meeting in Scotts Mills that I totally support the facility improvements at Scotts Mills School. However, it's in your best interest to have a legal document that does it as such, and I think this document does do that. It acknowledges you as the landlord, it acknowledges the facilities as being governed by Bethany Charter School Board. It also acknowledges the fact that there would be no funding from Silver Falls School District in order to make it happen. Part of your lease agreement with Bethany Charter School Board is for them to be responsible for all the maintenance and improvements to the building, so it fits within that lease agreement. Additionally, if someday, for any reason, that Bethany Charter School would dissolve, any investment that they have done to that point is yours, to the Silver Falls School District. And so that's all contained within the resolution. And again, the resolution, it really makes a statement. It's not a contract or anything of that sort. It makes a statement. And I think that is what you had hoped. And I know Michael Slip hoped from the BCS board, when I spoke with him, he was very appreciative of this resolution. And I encourage your consideration of it at a regular session, either in July or August, when you feel it's appropriate to do so.
Well, I appreciate the speed at which you turned that request around.
Sure.
Okay, any more? Okay, that'll be an action item later tonight.
No, it's going to be
Oh, I'm sorry.
Future.
Future. So sorry. Good correction. Okay, next up, a little more just further discussion on the Senate Bill 1049 and how that talks about our allowing us to rehire folks who retire. I don't know. I have no problem with. I mean, I understand it. I mean, I don't have any problem with. Mainly, it really doesn't have so much about the bill, but the conversation was more about, to me, it was more about, should we rehire people who have already retired at their firms? And, you know, I don't seem to have a problem with it, you know, especially thinking that it, you know, if we say we don't want someone to retire because they legally can, and they can legally go get another job somewhere else, so why can't we hire them back? And if we say no to that, does that mean that we can't hire somebody who's retired from another school district? We can't hire them either? And it seems to me that it would be really limiting. I don't, the first tier one thing is a mess, but it is what it is. We have to live within that. And it's going to, if we didn't allow folks to use it, they would simply retire from here and go work somewhere else. We'd still lose them, and they would still be, you know, innocent. We would lose good help. And so I don't. So I mean, I like the whole system, but that's the way it is. Go ahead.
I guess I'm not, that wasn't my concern. My concern was how do we implement this for every employee in the school district? That was my concern. And I think that the document that Dandy provided talking about the hiring process helped to clarify that, because we talked about having a resignation in hand and going through that. I guess I still would like to know more. Maybe we're in transition, so it's not a time to know more, but in future about, it would just be nice to be knowledgeable about that if we are going to make that decision, to be able to know what we do for all of the employees in that situation.
I think if you tried to limit who you're hiring based on the fact that they were retired, you're going to set yourself up for an age discrimination lawsuit. So you can't even be asking that.
Yeah.
What if, this is an HR question specifically, if somebody retires and it's opened up, completely opened up, I guess that's another thing altogether, right? So there's kind of two flavors of this. There's, I want to retire while keeping my job benefits, right? I want to just stay exactly where I'm at. I don't want any changes. I just want to sort of do this thing. And then there's, I want to retire, and then you are possibly or possibly not a candidate for the job, right? Do you see a distinction there from an HR perspective?
Well, I mean, I think that if you have someone who's retired and you want them to stay in the district, you want to rehire them, we would just use the same process that we do. We post it internally only. And so then anybody who's already in the district that wants that job, whether they're part-time, quarter-time, retired time, whatever, they apply for the job and then you can hire that way. I can tell you in my memory, I can't think of any retired person that wanted to hire back that we didn't hire back. And you have like 30 different people that we're doing that for right now. I mean, that's how you're getting your counselor at little schools. So once you're retired, you only work .2 and .1.
Right, part-time
Yeah.
hire backs.
Yeah, or even, I mean, Tom Steers, Karen Spears, Lisa Garrett,
Jim Bruckner.
Bruckner, yeah.
So Danny, you mentioned in your personnel report tonight that it's in the district's best interest when we have tenured employees. So if we're looking at this from a purely financial aspect, if it's a benefit to have a tenured employee and we have a quality employee that would like to start collecting their benefits and still be retained under the district, and they add to that tenured average. So it's going to benefit the district financially, and I think we're still overlooking the fact of the 2.5% of that PERS benefit goes to reduce the PERS liability. So it's still a financial gain from two aspects now, from a tenured employee and the PERS liability. So as a board member and soon to be private citizen, sitting on that side of the aisle, I do want my district to be financially responsible. So I think it's something that we shouldn't lose sight of.
And how did that math go? I understood and I seem to forget. How did that work before this bill? If we rehired somebody, how would the wages, how would that PERS, where would the PERS monies go?
Let me sketch a couple of things that may be help to you as a board.
Yeah.
And Steve is in the audience, I believe, tonight, so he may be able to clarify if necessary. But remember, we have two more traditional long-term employees titled Tier 1 and Tier 2. I believe Tier 2 began in 2003. And then you also have, well, which was a few years later, our OPSERP employees. And they began.
OPSERP actually began in 2000.
In 2003, okay, Tier 1 and Tier 2 was maybe a few years prior to that. Nonetheless, we have three different levels of pension that's provided to our employees. Pension benefits provided by the school district, and because we function in what's called a pickup school district, and we bargain through both collective bargaining agreements, 6% of the contribution that would have otherwise been paid for by the employee is actually paid for by you, Silver Falls School District. I share these with you because prior to January 1st, 2020, each of the three different levels of pension have a certain proportion that is paid for by the school district. And I believe for Tier 1 and Tier 2, it equates to about 17% of payroll and 11% for our OPSERP, or Tier 3 folks. Beginning on January 1st, 2020, and these proportions are different, 2.5% of this, Ron, will go directly into the unfunded liability, to the debt service for PERS. Is it 0.75 for OPSERP, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Those rates on the Tier 1, Tier 2, and the OPSERP are actually the rates that are changing July 1st, 2019.
That's right, with the new rates.
Every biannual reset. And it's the 2.5 and the 0.75 is actually the portion that's coming out of the IAP, which is the 6% contribution. Employee contribution is paid for by the district, which is separate from those two numbers, that will be directed to the pension.
So clearly the business manager knows more of the details about this, but what I can tell you is
that part of the 6%, that starts January 1st, 2020. But
is that it'll still go to PERS. It'll still go to PERS. PERS then will make we'll make the distinction and place it into the debt service. So there's no additional cost to you as a school district, but there is a cost to the employees because they no longer have that 2.5% or the 0.75 placed within their IEP. And so I know last couple of weeks ago, there were questions about what does this mean from a financial impact for Silver Falls School District? And what I can say is that beginning on January 1st, 2020, the financial impact is really not going to be anything more than what would have occurred had these employees remained on with you as a contract tenured teacher. The difference is they can retire effective June 1st, 2020 if they're eligible to retire by a number of PERS eligibility requirements. And at that time, they will be unrestricted. They'll not be required to maximize out at the 1,039 hours, working hours for every 12 months, which is pre-January 1st, 2020. Maxed out right now. So some of the examples that Danny mentioned just a few minutes ago, each of those employees are maxed out at essentially 6 months of employment or half-time employment throughout the year. Those employees would be unrestricted beginning January 1st, 2020, or any employee that chose to retire after January 1st, 2020 would be unrestricted at that time. There would be no additional costs to the school district. In fact, there's still some ruling that needs to occur between now and January 1st when everything happens that we're uncertain about. I know I just checked with payroll today, and Steve, I know, is uncertain about this as well. But the rulemaking is going to be really important right now because the law specifically states that after January 1st, 2020, the employee contribution to PERS, this is a motivation for school districts and a motivation for the legislation to even happen. But the employer's contribution to PERS that would have otherwise gone into that person's pension or IAP will now go directly into the debt service for PERS. That was part of the motivation for the legislature. And the unknown is, and I think if I had to wager, I'd say it's not going to happen, but the unknown is, what about the 6%? What about the employee 6% pickup that otherwise currently you as a school district pay for every employee in the school district? It says employer contribution, that's an employee contribution. My sense is that will essentially be a cost savings. That's my best guess at that. I haven't received any interpretation of that ruling, but so with that said, at a maximum, there will be no additional cost to you as a school district by having a person go retire from PERS and work back full-time. And there's the distinct possibility that you could be realizing a 6% savings because the employee PERS contribution will no longer go into PERS and it'll be the direct savings to you as a school district. So that's still a little bit unknown, but I, from a financial standpoint, for folks that retire after January 1st, 2020, do not see a fiscal impact for this school district as compared to an employee continuing on with regular contract status with you as a school district. Now, it's possible that the current employees, Dandy mentioned 30 some odd, and I can't remember the exact requirements for this, but we do have, I think, 12 current employees who are working at least half-time, or working half-time for you in regular positions as counselors or as teachers at the high school or at the elementary level. And those employees, that's kind of an unknown. It'll be questionable because currently those employees receive no PERS, or excuse me, you pay nothing in PERS related to those 12 employees. After January 1st, 2020, when the law gets into place, you will be paying the PERS employer contribution for those currently approved retired employees. We estimate that to be about $100,000. Again, is that an additional cost if they were working full-time? It wouldn't be. You have actually realized savings over, in some cases, 6 or 8 years with these retired employees by not paying into PERS simply because it was approved at the time. And as I shared with you in an email, we have about a dozen current folks over the last 10 years. We think that number is around 40. You also have a number of employees in the school district who do smaller part-time jobs like ticket sales at athletic events or tutoring. Your expulsions officer is a PERS retiree that we pay every year to have his services, a former administrator. So there's a variety of things. It's good for this school district. The last point that I'm going to make, and then I'll sit down, is this number. I can't say what it is for Silver Falls School District, but I can tell you statewide that the number of PERS eligible employees is north of 30%. In other words, if nothing changed tomorrow and every PERS eligible employee were to retire, we would lose 30% of the workforce like that. That's a concern. That's a very serious concern. And I think it was very smart on the part of the legislature to consider this PERS legislation, simply because it not only helps address the debt service, but it provides opportunity for the 30% of employees, at least in statewide public employees, and I think that's probably centers our school district, who will not leave. And they'll continue on for 1, 2, 3, 4 more years. And what a great opportunity for us to be able to recognize the institutional experience that we have of our current employees who are currently eligible to retire for PERS at no cost to you. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. I'll defer to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a couple of comments. So we can understand the financial part, we can learn that. We can understand the percentages and all of the numbers. My biggest concern is philosophical. Dandy just gave us a statement earlier about classified people who we're going to have a shortage, and she mentioned homegrown in our district. And I'm assuming we like to home grow students in our district who want to come back here to work after they potentially go to college or do whatever they do to get what their certificate is, or associate's degree or bachelor's degree, to come back here to work as brand new employees and give our students the opportunity to be hired in our district. So I see the value of a longtime teacher or longtime administrator who wants to retire, and we rehire because of their knowledge, right? But we also have to balance those new graduates, or those new people who want to come in to our district to be able to work and have a career here. So I go back and forth on that, and I value both of those. And I think that the one thing that as a board that we have to think about, it's imperative that we think about, is if we are going to have students who graduate from here at our high school and they want to come back, we have to have those jobs open as well. We have to have them open for them to come back. And there are teachers here, there are staff members in this district who have only been here for maybe 2 or 3 years. They're brand new teachers, or they're brand new staff. So I think it's a case-by-case situation, honestly. What do we need a veteran educator or administrator for? What do we need a new person for? A new potential employee for? So it's not a take this one away, take this one away. It's really what, I feel like they're case by case. We have to say, okay, well, where are we at now? What would we like to see? How does this work? What are our philosophical ideas moving forward in the district? How do we want to implement that? And so that's my thought as well. So just food for thought in the future, just to think about. Not making any decisions, just
We don't
food
really
for
have a
thought.
decision to make.
No, exactly.
We just wanted more information related
Right.
to a previous agenda item.
Yeah, and I asked for that information at the last meeting. And so I definitely got more information, which I'm very appreciative of. And I think we have a lot more work to do on it as a board, and not rush things. And things are uncertain. There are more things that need to be developed, as Andy said, with this, in regard to this PERS change. So it's okay to take it slow and get ourselves knowledgeable and make sure we get all the information we need.
Shelley, on those 2 points you mentioned, while you were talking, I was thinking of the people who
Yeah.
went to school here and have come back and have got hired as teachers
Yeah.
or classified, and there's been a lot of them.
Yeah,
And I think our district has had a really good balance of hiring people who have grown up here and went to school here and then came back and want to work here. I think we've had a really good balance of that, but we've also had a really good balance of retiring, people who retire from the district, but we hire them back. And, because there's a lot of them, I mean, that's invaluable. That institutional knowledge.
yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm actually agreeing
Can
with you.
I finish, please?
Sure,
That
yeah,
institutional knowledge that those people bring is invaluable.
I know.
And their work with kids has proven year after year after year, whether administrators or teachers are classified. And I think that's something that I've always really valued. And I'm not going to be here to make the decisions in the next whenever you guys talk about that. But I would just really encourage you to really value that in this district, because that's what the people with the institutional knowledge who have been here and know our district are what makes this district what it is. And that's just a really valuable thing. And there's always room to bring new people in. There's always new people coming here too. So
I agree.
that's just my thoughts on it.
I think we said the same thing. Yeah, we did.
So I got a question, Danny, so the way the process works right now, if somebody retires, then did you mention that we're going to repost within the district for that position? And then if the retiree requests to maintain that position, they still have to go through the hiring process one more time?
Now, when they retire mid-year, we just do the courtesy of rolling them over to continue for the rest of the year, because that's best. But then when it's at the end of the year, for the coming year, then we post them.
And if they want to continue in that position, then
Yeah.
they just go through the rehiring process. So it's pretty much,
Yeah,
so it sounds like we're all in agreement.
We
The
are.
only thing that may be a philosophical change
right.
is, and do we have the authority to say, well, we're not comfortable with someone retaining their employment, their retirement benefits and collecting their salary at the same time? I mean, is that what I hear you saying? It almost sounds like you're saying it's almost not fair that someone can do both.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is I don't want to lose either one of those. I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to hire new and retired.
That's our current process.
Yes. I just don't want the philosophical thought process to get lost. And so that's why we can learn about numbers and everything. I just want to make sure that it doesn't get lost in our conversation. And from your response and from Tim's response, I think we all are thinking almost the exact same thing.
Because I think that's currently what we have in place right now.
Right, but I just didn't want it to get lost in the conversation as we move forward in learning more about the changes of PERS and learning more about, because there are changes still coming. And so I just didn't want that to get lost in the conversation as we hear about the changes.
I would just add one more thing, that I think that your retired people are less likely to want to hire back full-time. They don't want to do that. And so they like kind of the special gigs that newer teachers can't afford. Newer teachers want a full-time job. So I love part-time retired people because you really get a full-time teacher. Because they just work so hard.
What's the other thing? We'll be paying a little bit more now
A little
for
bit more,
them,
but
but
it's still-
it's no more than we would for
Right.
a
No,
regular.
yeah, if you're looking at,
Right.
you, by having some part-time people, you kind of, you create some flexibility in your scheduling, especially at the high school. But even it gives opportunity for job share at the other grade levels, so, which is appealing to teachers.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other questions on this? Okay. Moving on. Well, Andy, did you have something you wanted to share?
I do, yeah, thanks, Tom. I asked Tom today if I could insert a couple of comments at just right after 2C, so I'm going to take the table up here and.
Okay, sure.
Good evening. I want to share an important decision as chair and board members before the next agenda item. And I think actually it'll take care of the next agenda item. I'm submitting my resignation and retirement to you effective July 1st, 2019. And I'm asking for your approval tonight. I'm very proud of the work I've done for this school district during the past 31 years. My 34 years in education have been some of the most gratifying years of my life. I've left every job in better shape than when I entered it, including this one. What's most important is that I've always operated under the belief that none of this is about me. My presence, my decisions, my commitment has always been about the students or staff members or about the communities of this diverse school district that I serve. I've been proud to be at the helm of the school district for 9 years, helping to earn our high-performing distinction, year after year, literally reaching achievements that have never been realized in this school district. So let's fast forward for a few perspectives that contribute to my request. A recent arbitrator decision was issued specific to one section in one article of the collective bargaining agreement between Silver Falls School District and Silver Falls Education Association. Article 3G, processing of grievances. This decision is public, as it should. It happened on my watch, and I apologize for my role in that outcome. There's no question about it. The school district is not allowed to share much detail about this decision. You heard Dandy comment on that just a minute ago. That would be against the law. A matter like this does not get to arbitration without distinct defense by both organizations. There are two sides to this issue, and much of the information about the school district can never be released. Again, that would be a violation of the law. The details of this matter are the same decisions that each of the 7 of you have heard that you cannot share. But they led to your support of our decisions as a board. I learned a long time ago that the right decisions are often the hardest. This statement is a play with the decisions that had to be made. And I would make them again. The arbitrator decision contained one finding from more than 40 allegations lodged by Silver Falls Education Association against Silver Falls School District. Dandy listed off a bunch of policies, articles, sections of articles, state statutes, all sorts of things. I tallied it up. It's about 40. This statement does not minimize the significance of the one finding. I get it. We own it. We have to own it. The statement is simply a reference to fact, which others have not shared. I've been approached by community members who refer to this as a shotgun approach by the leadership of the teachers union in hopes of winning at least one. I can't say whether that's true or not. I'm not making a judgment, but that's what community members feel that the union did. In review of the 4 grievances that were submitted by SFEA over the past year and a half, 3 were withdrawn. 2 after a settlement agreement signed by both groups. 1 went to arbitration. That settlement agreement, that document included a statement to move forward in a positive and mutually respectful fashion. Signed by the president of Silver Falls Education Association and signed by me. I've signed a lot of agreements over 34 years in education, and I've honored each one. You put your signature on something, you honor it. That's also in the best interest of students in this school district. Remember, none of this is about me. Unfortunately, I question whether this agreement is really being honored based upon recent comments from the teachers union leadership. Not the teachers union, but the teachers union leadership on social media. I very quickly looked at the banner on the wall behind you and wondered how it's at play in the minds of the teachers union leadership right now. We have work to do on the one discovered violation within the 40+ allegations lodged against us. These allegations were significant, and we took it each very seriously. Each of the 40 allegations were very significant, and we took each seriously as reflected by the hundreds of hours it took for us to defend our positions. These are hours that your administrators would have otherwise spent supporting the student needs of Silver Falls School District. That's gone. Over the past 2 weeks, I've received so many emails, text messages, notes, and personal visits from people in our community who believe in what we do as a school district, including the need to make occasional hard decisions. It's our job. We have to make hard decisions every once in a while. The same people have suggested that the social media noise is just that. Noise from the same people commenting as the social media jury. I can't say for certain as I don't sit behind a screen and comment prolifically as some do. I don't know what's true and I won't speak for others, but I can tell you that our roles as educators are about the students, not how many likes you get on your Facebook page, period. It's also not about how many distractions you can create, like questioning approved board procedures, like questioning board policies that have been approved by a governing body, or how many public records requests you can squeeze into the same day as graduation at Silverton High School. That actually happened. Again, I'm not certain what may be behind the motivation that drives this kind of energy, but as any good superintendent knows, it's our job to respond, and we have and we do. A small portion of my decision this evening is due to this noise. What's most important is my personal desire to support the students of this school district. I'm certain my announcement will be on social media as soon as possible by the same people. It's probably already happening. Here's the reality. A high-performing school district like ours does not occur by chance. It is also not the result of priorities which are exclusive to one person, to labor leadership, or to a special interest group. There is a reason we were recently recognized as the 7th best school district in Oregon for teachers, up from 21st just 1 year ago. Our TEL survey results from teachers less than 1 year ago and compiled right in the middle of 4 grievances, were the highest ever in the history of our district TEL survey results. Danny shared some of those with me tonight. You spent over an hour drilling down into those TEL survey results a year ago. Yet there are some who want you to think otherwise. There are so many other data points. Tom, I love your quote. Just look at the school. I share this information within my request to retire because these dynamics are at play, even in a successful school district like ours. Continuing as superintendent is an option for me, but when the same individuals or groups become louder and louder and they provide no solutions to consider, that's not in my best interest. Most importantly, that's not in the best interest of the students of Silver Falls School District. To all of you, thank you for your volunteerism as school board members. To 6 of you, thank you for putting kids first. Thank you for your authentic dialogue. Thank you for thinking for yourself and for considering the needs of all corners of this diverse school district. It's noticed. 5 of you and 2 new board members have a lot to do in the coming year. You have a long-range facility planning task force to begin. You have a planning consultant to select. You have an attendance boundary task force to form. You have a strategic visioning plan to approve. You have 2 charter schools up for renewal. You have an important decision to make about converting Mark Twain and Robert Frost to K-5 schools. You have bargaining to finish with the SFEA while at the same time honoring your board-approved budgeting goals for this school district. Your new superintendent will guide you and lead you through these important processes as long as you allow that person to do his or her job. I wish you well in moving forward. This is an incredible school district, and you have a job to keep it that way. So, Mr. Chairman, I ask that you entertain a motion to accept my resignation and retirement as superintendent effective July 1st, 2019. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept the resignation of Superintendent Andy Bowman. For the,
As of January.
as of June, July,
July 1st?
July?
July 1st.
July 1st.
Effective July 1st.
Effective July 1st, 2019.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. Herb, I think Herb got that earlier. So, okay, any motion and a second? Any discussion?
I do want to say that I think that had it been possible, given all the circumstances, that you would have been willing to work 6 months or a year, I would have appreciated that.
Sure.
Thank you.
9 years as superintendent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
9 years. Yeah, you notified me of this earlier today. It's been a Monday. I don't have any time for any prepared remarks, but I will be sure to give you some. I mean, I'll take care of that at a future time.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Andy, 30 years in this district, thank you. Thank you so much for everything you've given. You're a person of the highest character, one of the, that I've ever known. And that comes across in your job every day. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for everything you've done for the kids in this school district. It's very much appreciated by 99% of the people out there. But I really mean it.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to find words under these circumstances, Andy. Short time I've been here as a board member, I thoroughly enjoyed everything that you've done for the district, your leadership. And, you know, like Tom said, and everyone else, staff's don't lie, right, school board. And, you know, my children have grown up within the district from kindergarten through graduation to high school. And we feel blessed. You know, that's a direct result of your leadership. And it really, and I wish I had some better words, but it sickens me to some people in the audience that sit there smugly, day in and day out. And they're full of this flatulence, along with which the stench will just remain in these walls after we leave. And you know who I am. You know who you are. And it's sad. And it's sad that for me, in my last meeting, you know, we're having to deal with this result. But on a positive note, Andy, there's so many more people in the community that share my appreciation for what you've done. I think it's more than 99.9% of the community that really appreciates that. So I know on behalf of me and my family, I want to thank you. I really want to thank you. I'm sorry that you're not going to be here to lead us for the next 2 years. You know, I really am. But the district is going to miss you.
I shared some of my regrets with you earlier today, but I regret that you're not going to be here for the next year. The list that you read to us is significant with the work that we have to do. And I'm going to miss your leadership in that regard.
It's a sad day for Silver Falls School District.
I just wanted to say
Can I say
something
something?
for sure.
Or Jennifer done?
I'm done.
Jennifer's done, Shelley's next. Hold on,
Oh, go
Shelley's
ahead,
got it.
I am disappointed that you resigned tonight. It's no secret that you and I didn't see eye to eye all the time. But I really had something to say to you or to our board that I wanted to work very hard at healing not only our district and what's happening, but a relationship with you as well. And I was hoping I would get to read that tonight to you, because I think it gives us an opportunity for all of us to sit here and listen to each other in a professional way that we can help each other out in this situation. And I was hoping to do that. I was really hoping to do that with you. And I am very disappointed that you resigned tonight. I wish you well. I really do. We had a great interaction at graduation, and you met my daughter, Chloe, and that was a lovely night, and it felt really good to be in such a great environment that night. And I just was looking forward to the healing process. I hope we can continue to do that in the future, if I see you around town. I'm always willing and always open to have a conversation. And that's what I wanted to say to you. I don't have anything written, so I'm just going off of my thoughts. So,
Okay, Irv?
Well, Andy, I'll tell you, I've been on the board for 10 years. 9 of them, you've been the superintendent. And I think I said this before, when Craig was the superintendent and you came on, I was a little bit skeptical just because the job that Craig did. And you didn't miss a lick. You stepped right in and took right over. And you have always done what was best for the district, for the staff and the students. And your level of integrity and morals are going to be missed, and they're going to be harder to replace. I sincerely want to thank you, Andy, for everything you've done.
Thank you, Irv.
Okay, thanks, Irv. Okay, anyone else have anything to share? Okay, I got a motion in a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Off into the sunset. Okay, do we have any other, well, that's an action item that's deleted. Anybody have any other business?
I do.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Shelley.
I just wanted to share that I had the privilege of taking 3 students and 1 teacher up to the airport this afternoon. Clarissa Bay, Silverton High School science, STEM, chemistry, and forensic science teacher. About 18 students and other parent-teacher chaperones are flying to England and France on a STEM trip. They will be grouped with exclusive STEM schools from Maryland and Maine. I just want to say what a wonderful opportunity it is for our young people to explore the wonders of Europe, and I just wanted to wish them a great trip. I just wanted to share that with you.
All right, thanks. Anybody else?
Yeah, I am hoping that we can, on our next agenda, item place, or in our next agenda, place an item regarding responsibility for the arbiter's report. I would like to take responsibility. I would like to have a discussion about taking responsibility for that, and so I would like to see that on the agenda.
Yeah, I talked to Lisa, our attorney, Lisa Freeland, a little bit about that today, and I was going to follow up with an email and share it with the board, and how we can talk about it and how we can't, because that report is full of personnel stuff. Yet it's in the public, and how do we handle that without tripping up and making a difficult situation worse? So anyway, I'll follow up with that with her tomorrow. She can
Thanks, Tom.
tell us how to do.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's adjourn under executive session under ORS 192-660-2T to conduct deliberations with a person designated by the governing body concerning labor negotiations, collective bargaining with the Silver Falls Education Association. All right, thanks for coming. Okay, let's return to regular session. Does anybody have any further business?
Mr. Chairman, I will ask that with Ron Valoff leaving the board and not being able to be on the bargaining team, I know Irv Stadley's time availability is not always what you would prefer it to be. He works out of town quite a bit. I'm just wondering if there's another board member who would be interested to sit on the bargaining team. We have 2 new board members coming on. Jonathan, it seems we spoke a little bit about it at one point in time. I think you were just going to sort of process that a little bit, but
I do it, but I don't know, I'm chair, and my wife works in the district. I don't know if that's good, but I mean,
That's
The
probably.
law would allow that to occur.
Okay.
Again, because we're talking about a group of people. The question for you would be the optics of something
Right,
like
right.
that, and I think that the community may question that.
Yeah, I would, that wouldn't be my first choice to have
Okay.
you, just for that fact. But I could be persuaded otherwise.
Is there still on?
Over there? His phone went dead.
Yes, we're with-
Ah, you dirty dog.
He's out of town.
So Irv's out,
So,
We'll have to run it by Irv and check his availability, but I guess we just need to really be thinking about that, yeah, pronto, so.
If you need somebody and I'm available, I'm willing to do it. I don't know when that'll exactly be, it sounds like we may postpone the next one, and I don't know when the one after that would be, and I may or may not be available, but it would depend.
I'm pretty available during the summer. Again, I don't think the optics are good for me. Being
Yeah,
a teacher
that's-
is not, I've shied away in the past,
Yeah,
and I would
'cause
probably want to do that in the
You
future.
probably have the same optics problem that I got, 'cause.
Yeah, I don't work for the district, but some people think that, we're just one big teacher,
Sure,
Same.
when we come all in.
That's right.
Well, it gives us some food, something to think about,
Okay.
real soon, so thanks for bringing that up, Andy. Okay.
Oh, and I just wanted to say that I can be available to help with any transition planning. I don't know what's doable outside of, a public meeting and such, but,
I'll call Renee at OSBA tomorrow, and, she knows what to do. She knows where to go, so we'll start there. Okay?
And this is a matter of nuts and bolts. I'll be on vacation for the rest of this week. And the 30th is this Sunday. So this is, again, my final meeting, but I will still have email access. We'll be checking a couple things, so nothing will change in regard to that. If you have any questions or things, I'll still respond to that. There'll be no update this week, but I am on vacation.
Very good. Okay, anything else?
I
once
just want to
again,
say,
thank you, both of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to say thank you as well, and to everybody for their service and all for being our chair. And for you too, thank you. It's a hard meeting and not necessarily the end that anybody thought was ideal, but makes you appreciate everybody a little bit more, I think.
Well said. Okay. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
We did, for sure.